less than 1 day in Iraq. This winter, while President Bush asked for billions more for security for the streets of Baghdad, he says we can't afford to bring security to the streets of our own hometowns. The Senate proposed spending $55 million in part to hire police officers specially trained to stop child sexual predators. We've seen the fantastic growth of the Internet, and that's great. And it brings many good things with it, but it also brings challenges. The President didn't just force that funding to be cut in half. He sliced it to less than a third of what it was. We could have made up the difference and fully funded the program to stop child sexual predators with what it costs to be in Iraq for just about 2.5 hours. Being able to successfully have the law enforcement capability to pursue child sex predators versus 2.5 hours in Iraq. Where are the family values that we hear about, so often talked about? Where are the importance of our children, who are truly our greatest asset, but they're also our most vulnerable asset? Where are your values? What are your priorities? There are too many provisions in this big funding bill that are absolutely essential, too many to name here. But the victims of the cuts that the President and his Republican allies have called for, the millions of Americans waiting for clean power that won't be produced, the cancer patients who are waiting for research that won't be allowed to happen, the communities trying to stop child sexual predators who are waiting for police officers who won't be hired, these people are also too many to name. In that sense, even beyond the lives lost overseas, the cost of the war in Iraq has been incalculable. If there's one thing we must all acknowledge right now, it is this: the war in Iraq is not free. It is not without consequences here at home, and no one should be pretending that this war is free. The Bush administration likes to parrot the line that, quote, "we're fighting them over there, so we don't have to fight them here." But Americans have figured out what they really mean. And what they really mean is we're spending all our money over there, so, by the way, we don't have it to spend here. Above all, Madam President, above all, this is a question of values. Do we value our children, protecting them? Do we value our schools and the education that we want our children to have so that they can continue to make America the global competitive leader? Do we value the men and women who wear the uniform not just by marching in a parade on Memorial Day or going to a Veterans Day observance, which we should, but by taking care of their health care and their disabilities and taking care of their survivors, for those who commit the ultimate sacrifice, as a grateful nation truly does? Or will we neglect those and other priorities, such as the health care of our children and of our families? The Democratic budget bill set out for our values a clear and serious test. We cannot allow the budget to have a heart as cold as the ice on our front steps. We cannot let our financial stability melt away, and we cannot continue to let more of our money burn up in a war that has taken so much from so many for so long. Madam President, at year's end, we speak of renewal. We turn to our families. We witness a rebirth of hope. This season is about the best in each and every one of us. This season, decisions we make are going to test how we operate as a government and test what we stand for as a nation. There is no better time than now to let the best in American values guide our way. Generosity, equality of opportunity, cooperation with one another, turning to each other instead of against each other. We have the power to end unnecessary suffering and waste, and the chance to approach these tasks with the fresh sense of urgency that they require. As we rest and dream in the company of those we love, let us remember that December is the darkest time of the year, but it is also the turning point when the sun begins to shine more and more each day. Together we offer our wish, our hope, and our prayers that the dreams that have carried us so far of peace on earth, goodwill towards all, may yet still come true. That is our hope as we approach this next year. Madam President, before I yield the floor, I want to take the opportunity to acknowledge individuals in my now second year here in the Senate who I have seen work incredibly hard but very rarely get acknowledged. All of those who help us as we preside, the clerks that keep all of the documentation that comes before the Senate moving, the parliamentarians who try to keep us in some degree of order as we move along the way, the party secretaries and their staffs who do such a great job on informing us as to what is happening and to try to keep somewhat of a schedule in terms of our lives here in the Senate, to those in the cloakroom who also produce that service, to the pages who have done a great job. I was privileged to have the opportunity to talk to so many of them. I think their experiences here are going to carry with them a lifetime, and I'm sure that maybe we will see some of them in this chamber in the future. To all of those who make this institution, the greatest democratic institution in the world, operate the way it successfully operates, my deepest thanks, my best for the holiday season. And with that, Madam President, I yield the floor.